that most opulent bow was guarded by a large company of men who were respectfully worshipping it. Krishna pushed his way forward and, despite the guards' attempts to stop him, picked it up. Easily lifting the bow with his left hand, Lord Urukrama strung it in a fraction of a second as the king's guards looked on. He then powerfully pulled the string and snapped the bow in half, just as an excited elephant might break a stalk of sugar cane. The sound of the bow's breaking filled the earth and sky in all directions. Upon hearing it, Kamsa was struck with terror. The enraged guards then took up their weapons and, wanting to seize Krishna and his companions, surrounded them and shouted, "Grab him! Kill him!" Seeing the guards coming upon them with evil intent, Balaram and Keshava took up the two halves of the bow and began striking them down. After also killing a contingent of soldiers sent by Kamsa, Krishna and Balaram left the sacrificial arena by its main gate and continued their walk about the city, happily looking at the opulent sights. Having witnessed the amazing deed Krishna and Balaram had performed, and seeing their strength, boldness, and beauty, the people of the city thought they must be two prominent demigods. As they strolled about at will, the sun began to set, so they left the city with the cowherd boys and returned to the cowherd's wagon encampment. At the time of Mukunda, or Krishna's departure from Vrindavan, the gopis had foretold that the residents of Mathura would enjoy many benedictions, and now the gopis' predictions were coming true, for those residents were gazing upon the beauty of Krishna, the jewel among men. Indeed, the goddess of fortune desired the shelter of that beauty so much that she abandoned many other men, although they worshipped her. After Krishna's and Balaram's feet were bathed, the two lords ate rice with milk. Then, although knowing what Kamsa intended to do, they spent the night there comfortably. Wicked King Kamsa, on the other hand, was terrified, having heard how Krishna and Balaram had broken the bow and killed his guards and soldiers, all simply as a game. He remained awake for a long time, and both while awake and while dreaming he saw many bad omens, messengers of death. When he looked at his reflection, he could not see his head. For no reason the moon and stars appeared double. He saw a hole in his shadow. He could not hear the sound of his life air. Trees seemed covered with a golden hue, and he could not see his footprints. He dreamt that he was being embraced by ghosts, riding a donkey and drinking poison, and also that a naked man smeared with oil was passing by, wearing a garland of nalada flowers. Seeing these and other such omens, both while dreaming, Kamsa was terrified by the prospect of death, and out of anxiety he could not sleep. When the night had finally passed, and the sun rose up again from the water, Kamsa set about arranging for the grand wrestling festival. The king's men performed the ritual worship of the wrestling arena, sounding their drums and other instruments, and decorated the viewing galleries with garlands, flags, ribbons, and arches. The city dwellers and residents of the outlying districts, led by Brahmins and Kshatriyas, came and sat down comfortably in the galleries. The royal guests received special seats. Surrounded by his ministers, Kamsa took his seat on the imperial dais. But even as he sat amidst his various provincial rulers, his heart trembled. while the musical instruments loudly played in the rhythmic meters appropriate for wrestling matches, the lavishly ornamented wrestlers proudly entered the arena with their coaches and sat down. Enthused by the pleasing music, Chanura, Mushtika, Kuta, Shala, and Toshala sat down on the wrestling mat. Nanda Maharaj and the other cowherds, summoned by the king of the Bhojas, presented him with their offerings and then took their seats in one of the galleries. Thus ends the 42nd chapter of the 10th canto of the Shrimad Bhagavatam, entitled The Breaking of the Sacrificial Bow.